the cue ball strikes the side rail, it will be tracking towards the three ball at the correct angle. This type of shot is very common, and it's definitely a shot you need to add to your arsenal. You'll see top players perform shots like this all the time, since it allows them to control the angle toward their next ball. Before we shoot this two-rail option, we will first find the pocket line, then choose a target along the side rail. 28 would be a good number to send the cue ball toward. And once you have your number, you can now visualize the cue ball at that target. The advantage of this shot is that once a cue ball leaves the cushion, it's traveling toward the three ball at the correct angle. So even if you slightly overhit a shot, as in this case, you'll still have your angle on the three ball. In this 8-ball game, we have two solids left. Our goal is to land here from the three balls so we can use the natural angle off the one ball to play position for the 8 ball. The first option is to go one rail like this, but as we can see, the entire path is in the danger area. We won't have our position until the very end of the cue ball path. And if our speed isn't precise, we could end up with an awkward angle. The option is to set the cue ball off both side rails. By doing this, the cue ball is tracking on the right side of the one ball pocket line after it leaves the second side rail. Before shooting the shot, pick out a target on the side rail to send the cue ball toward. And it's important that when you do pick out a target on the side rail, that it will work with the angle you have on the three ball. 30 on the side rail should work as our cue ball target. Now that we have this target on the side rail, we can now visualize the path toward this target. This type of shot is more repeatable than the first shot since our speed doesn't have to be exact. The key is really focusing on sending the cue ball along the correct path to the side rail. In this 9-ball game, Hachi has ball in hand on the 4 ball. Pause the video. I can predict his ball. Before shooting the 4 ball, it's important to determine where you need to be for the 7 ball. There are 2 nice position areas to land in for the 7 ball. Here and here across the 7 ball pocket line. When working with students, this would be a typical pattern they would choose. While this is a good pattern, the pattern Kachi chose takes advantage of the natural path on the 4, 5, and 6 ball. By playing the pattern this way, he increases his chances of not only ending up on the correct side of each ball, but ending up in a small predetermined area with each cue ball location. Taking advantage of natural angles and position windows is an important element to playing that. Creating patterns based on position windows, your ability to pocket more balls during your turn will improve dramatically. For example, in the 8-ball game, we're on the 6 ball, we need to create an angle in the 7 ball, picking on the 8 ball. Before we decide which side pocket to shoot it into, let's first examine both position windows. If we choose this side pocket, our speed control has to be exact. There isn't any room for error. Ending up an inch too far leaves an awkward angle to pick it up the 8 ball. If we select the other side pocket, now the position window is much larger. And it's larger because the natural angle heads toward our position area. Which means playing for the top side pocket is a shot that's very repeatable due to the size of the position window. Now let's say this is a layout and we don't have any choice but to play the 7 ball into the bottom side pocket. When playing position for a pocket that has a small position window, try to let the cue ball in the largest part of the position window. Players that shoot too quickly and try to get closer to the object ball usually end up outside the window, which leaves an awkward angle. A safe choice on this shot is to try to land the cue ball near the largest part of the position window, which is near the end round. Once you start understanding position windows, choosing the correct pattern starts to become a little easier. In this 8-ball game, we can play position for the 5 in the side pocket. If we end up here, we can draw back for position on the 8 ball. But a quick examination of the position window for the side pocket reveals just how small the area is that we need to land in. Now, if we switch the pocket to the corner pocket, now our position window opens up, and it's larger now since the natural angle heads in the correct direction. So even if we miss our cue ball target, as I did here, we still have an angle we can use to get on the 8 ball. If we examine a typical game of a professional pool player, we can see how they use pocket lines, position windows, and natural angles. So before Chang shoots the 1 ball, he first needs to determine where he needs to end up for the 2 close to the 2-ball pocket line, he can fall back for his position on the 3-ball. Now that he knows this, he'll visualize the 2-ball pocket line, then visualize a target near this line. And it's important when selecting targets for your cue ball.
Alexa, stop music, pool room.
On the current object ball. So sending the cue ball at 420 in the side rail should land the cue ball on this target. Now if he has shot before creating this path, he may have struck the side rail too high with the cue ball, leaving an awkward angle on the 2-ball. So Chang ended up close to the 2-ball pocket line, which will allow him to draw back for position on the 3-ball. Before he shoots the 3-ball, he needs to land on or extremely close to the 4-ball pocket line. If he can land on the 4-ball pocket line, he can draw back a couple inches for the ball.
Properties, love your plugins, but wish you had more service. Introducing the new Febreze Blood Scent Booster. Enjoy the same 50 days of continuous scent Febreze Blood, including the quartz and flexible placement options, and a boost button for anti-scent. New Febreze Blood Scent Booster.
What about Patriots on Coast County and Bureau? We're not hard to find. Just go to patriotsoftware.com for a free trial of our accounting and payroll. Patriot Software, start your free trial today.
This could be our chance to create a legacy. You're out of my train. I'm gonna make you on even if it means you staying behind. I've never seen a living around the whole other way. So menacing and just
For the 5-ball. And it's important to recognize when balls like this are connected. And when I talk about balls being connected, I mean that you don't have to do too much with the cue ball when pocketing the object ball to have the correct angle on your next ball. So when balls are connected, you really need to visualize the pocket line, then find the best way to land on or very close to this pocket line. If we choose this way of playing position, we won't have our shape in the 4-ball until the very end of the cue ball path. So our speed would have to be very precise. Chang chose this way of playing position, since once a cue ball leaves the side rail, it's traveling within the position window. And this is the proper way to play it, since it becomes unsure in this shot. He still has an angle he can use to play position for the 5-ball in the corner pocket. His goal when shooting the 5-ball is to create an angle in the 7-ball where he can use a natural angle to go 3 rails for position. He could draw back to here, but instead he'll bring the cue ball off the side rail to get a little closer to the 7-ball. By getting closer to the 7-ball, this ensures that these angles, they can still play good pool, but playing this way will ultimately prevent them from reaching an even higher level. But if we study the elite players, and I'm talking about the top 20 players in the world, they are very specific about what angle they would like for each ball. It doesn't mean that they're always going to land at this angle, but this is their game plan with each shot. Now let's go through several examples of finding the ideal angle for a rolling shot. In this example, we need to put the 8-ball in this top side pocket. Before shooting the 5-ball, I'm first going to make an educated guess as to which angle will take the cue ball to the bottom side rail near the 8-ball pocket line. So now when I shoot the 5-ball, my goal is to land on or very close to this natural angle. Now I can softly roll the 2-ball, the angle will send the cue ball toward the position area for the 8-ball. The advantage of playing for ideal angles in situations like this is that even if you end up near the angle, as I did here, I can still roll in the object ball and use a touch of right spin to land in my target area. You want to see top players play for angles like this when they have to go across the table for position. As in this game where Cole has to pocket the 9-ball and play position for the 10-ball at the other end of the table. He created an angle that would allow him to shoot softly, but still reach his target area. The elite players understand the connection between angles and distance. If they have to travel across the table, they try to choose angles where the angles help them move the cue ball to their target area. This allows them to shoot with a softer stroke, giving them better control over path and speed. Ideal angles are most beneficial when the position extremely precise cue ball speed, as in this 8-ball layout, where we have to pocket the 1 ball and land in our target area for shape on the 3 ball. At this angle on the 1 ball, the angle is helping to send the cue ball toward the target area with a soft stroke. It doesn't mean it's doing all the work. We still have to be precise in our cue ball speed, but since the angle is helping us, this shot becomes much easier to execute than if the cue ball were at this angle. At this angle, the same soft stroke only sends the cue ball to this area. So if this were the situation, before shooting the 5 ball, we'll first find the ideal angle for the 1 ball, which is right here. Now when we pocket the 5 ball, the goal is to land on or very close to this angle. In this 10-ball game, Joshua Filler has ball in hand on the 2 ball, and he needs to play position for the 4 ball. So he creates an angle that allows him to shoot softly, and the angle will help move the cue ball to its position area. In this game of 8-ball, we're on the 3 ball, we need to create an angle on the 1 ball that we can use to play position for the 8 ball. One option is to land here and shoot the 1 ball softly, sending the cue ball in this direction. While this isn't a bad option, since the angle is helping to move the cue ball to the target area, due to the distance between the 1 ball and cue ball, there's a chance of accidentally striking too little or too much of the 1 ball, which will drastically change the cue ball path. A slightly better option is to land near the end rail. This shot is preferred over the previous option since we're now closer to the 1 ball, which gives us a better chance of striking the proper amount of the 1 ball. Also at this angle, we can shoot softly with running English, sending the cue ball toward our target area on the side rail. And once you have this shot down, this type of shot is very repeatable. In this game, Dennis has ball in hand on the 5 ball, and the 6 ball is next to the corner pocket. You could play position here and take a high angle on the 6 ball, but instead he sends the cue ball to the end rail near the 6 ball. This now allows him to softly roll the 6 ball, creating his position for the 7 ball. In this 8-ball layout, what we're looking for is an angle on the 12 ball that will send the cue ball toward the end rail for position on the 8 ball. With every shot, you're first going to see if the ideal angle is available. And if it's not available, then you go to the next best angle. At this angle, a soft rolling shot will send the cue ball toward the end rail for position on the 8 ball. This is the ideal angle since this angle allows the player to shoot softly, but still control the cue ball path by how much or how little of the object ball they strike. And you can try this out for yourself. Place a ball by the side pocket and practice sending the cue ball to different targets along the end rail. And remember, when shooting these shots, the path of the cue ball is determined by how much of the object ball you are striking. To strike targets further down on the rail, you're going to strike as much of the object ball as possible, shooting below center with a soft stroke. Here's an example of this type of shot from a professional game. In this 10-ball game, Cole needs to create an angle on the 6 ball and to send the cue ball to the end rail between the 8 and 10 ball. And before he shoots the 5 ball, he's going to figure out where his ideal angle is for the 6 ball. At this angle, a soft rolling shot will send the cue ball along the correct path. And when Cole shoots the 6 ball, he's going to control the path of the cue ball by how much or how little the 6 ball he strikes. Now, if the ideal angle isn't available, then we'll play with a stun angle. In situations like this where you need really good control of the cue ball path and speed, and you have to play a stun shot, the goal would be to land fairly close to the object ball. As with any stun shot, the closer you can get to the object ball, the better. In this game of 8-ball, you need to create an angle on the 2 ball that will take the cue ball to the end rail for shape on the 8 ball. Since the path toward this target is narrow, we really need to land on the ideal angle to give us the best chance of running down. So before shooting the 7 ball, I'm going to find the ideal angle on the 2 ball, which is right here. Now I can play the shot this way and get closer to the 2 ball. But in situations like this, where position on the 8 ball is tight, playing the proper angle on the 2 ball is more important than playing close position. So a better option is to just play a kill shot, which will guarantee that I end up on the ideal angle. Now a soft shot on the 2 ball sends the cue ball in the proper direction. In this 8-ball game, we're on our last 2 strikes, and we figure out the best way to get positioned for the 8 ball. We could roll forward and take this angle of the 15 ball, but this way of playing position wouldn't be the first choice of a strong player. Due to the distance, it won't take much to strike too much of the object ball or not enough of the object ball, which drastically affects the cue ball path. In this case, the ideal angle would be right here, since the shot is still very makeable, but the angles help it move the cue ball toward our target area. So if we land on this angle, we just need a soft stroke, along with a touch of right spin to control the cue ball path. Now when I pocket the 12 ball, my goal is to land on or very close to this angle. Here I've landed close to this angle, which means I can still use a soft stroke and use right spin to control the cue ball path. The other advantage of playing position this way is that the cue ball is closer to the object ball, which will give you a better chance of striking the correct amount of the 15 ball. It can be used to draw back with the 9 ball. But if we examine this position shot in more detail, we can see that ending up short leaves a difficult shot for the 8 ball. And landing here means a draw shot will be sent too close to the 9 ball. We can try a stunt draw shot, which is doable for Shane, but that shot requires a lot of force to move the cue ball to the position area. Landing on the pocket line means Shane can draw back for position on the 9 ball. And since the path is close to the 9 ball, the position window is very small. If he draws back off the end round, now his cue ball is floating into a large position window. Crossing the line now leaves an awkward and difficult shot. On this shot, he may end up sliding the cue ball over, taking a longer shot on the 9 ball. Even though Shane has an excellent control of his cue ball speed, his goal in every pattern is to minimize risk. So he chooses this option for the 8 ball in the side pocket due to the large position window. And we play position, he's not just going to cross the pocket lines. Playing the shot this way would require excellent speed control. Instead, he's going to set the cue ball off the end round toward the 8 ball. This way he's traveling within the position window, which means his speed doesn't have to be as precise. Top players will usually choose the position option that allows them to travel toward their next ball within the position window. For example, in this game, Corey Duel is on the 6 ball and needs to create an angle on the 7 ball, which will send the cue ball toward the position area for the 8-9 combination. Corey could play the position shot this way, but he wouldn't have position until the very end of the cue ball path. Instead, Corey sends the cue ball to the side round end and toward the 7 ball within the position window. By doing this, his speed control doesn't have to be as precise as the first option. Here's another example of tracking toward your object ball within a position window. In this game of 8 ball, we have 3 solids left. It looks like we'll be playing 8 ball in this corner pocket. If we can end up here on the 4 ball, the natural path of the 4 ball heads toward the side rail, giving us position for the 8 ball. Since this is a natural angular play position for the 8 ball, the position window for the 4 ball is very large. Now compare this to playing position for the 4 ball in this corner pocket. Since we're no longer playing the natural angle off the 4 ball, our position window is much smaller. If for some reason you had to play the 4 in this corner pocket, you would try to avoid the smallest part of the position window. So my goal was shooting the 7 ball is to land here, which will allow me to roll in the 2 ball and send in the cue ball towards the 4 ball at the correct angle. Since we'll be tracking toward the 4 ball within the position window, even if our speed is off and we land here, we still have an angle of the 4 ball that we can work with. So when we're going with pocketing the 7 ball is to land at this angle on the 2 ball. This would be the ideal angle, since the soft rolling shot will send the cue ball toward our target area. In the next section in the video, we're going to be learning more about what makes an angle ideal, both for rolling shots and for step shots. And with one of the students, I have a little trick I use to help them remember the angle. I number the diamonds like this, so this angle heads toward 40. Now when the player walks back to the shot, they can visualize a line from 40 to the object ball. Once they visualize this line, then they can figure out a target along this line for their cue ball to land in. This is what allows the top players to consistently play at a high level. With each shot, they are very specific about exactly what angle they would like. When possible, look for angles like this, where the angles help to move the cue ball to the target area. Whenever the angle can help move the cue ball like this, it reduces the amount of force the player needs to use. then where he would like to end up for the 7th ball. If he ends up here, he can go 2 rails per shape on the 8 ball. Now that he knows where he needs to be with the 7 ball, he now knows he needs to land on or very close to the 5 ball pocket line, which will allow him to roll forward for a position on the 6 ball. Before he shoots the 5 ball, he's going to walk around and zero in on exactly what angle he would like. The same with 23 will allow him to shoot the 6 ball softly and still land in his target area. Now when he's back in the shot, he knows exactly what angle he needs to land on. Before he shoots the 6 ball, he zeroes in on his position area for the 7th ball. Of all the topics we covered in previous chapters, one of the most important things we discussed was understanding not just how you pocket balls, but also how you miss shots. This is information that is available to you every time you practice and can instantly improve your game. But the majority of players aren't using this information. And with the students, after only a few minutes of them shooting shots, I can already see patterns in not just how they pocket balls, but also in how they miss shots. So let me give you a simple example. When one of my students were shooting this shot, they would use roll right to pocket the ball. I noticed that the object ball would catch a lot of the side rail, but due to the flat angle, it still went in the pocket. So as a test, I placed the object ball a little further from the rail, which means this shot has to be pocketed much cleaner than the previous shot. And it was at this point the student informed me that this was a problem shot for them. And right on cue, the object ball caught too much of the side rail. And the same was true for this shot, where the student had to pocket this ball and play shape for the 8 ball. So the student knew that on this type of shot, they had a tendency to strike a little too much of the object ball. They would adjust their aim until they could pocket this ball more cleanly, which in turn will positively affect similar shots, allowing them to pocket more balls. Now this is a simple example, but for many players who have been playing for years, learning how you pocket balls along with how you miss balls is a game changer. It's something everyone can start doing right away. One example I sometimes use is to set this shot up and have them pocket the ball with center high, then with center right, then with center left. And what I'm looking for is how cleanly they are pocketing the ball. So if they're shooting this shot with just center high, and they tend to catch this part of the pocket, that usually means that this slight flaw in their aiming will be magnified as the extra ball gets further from the pocket. What I tell my students is that if you really want to improve, you not only have to become a student of the game, but you also have to become a student of your own game. Knowing how you make and miss shots is a vital component of elevating your game to a higher level. And I have a series of drills that I set up for students that will allow us to get immediate feedback on how they make and miss shots. I'll set up 30 of the most commonly missed shots. And before the student can attempt these shots using side spin, we first attempt to pocket these shots just using center high. First using soft speed, and we're going to be using a firm speed. So I'll have the student shoot each shot 10 times in a row from both sides of the table. And even if they miss the shot, I don't want them to adjust their aim. What I'm trying to find is where their true aim is. Do they tend to overcut these shots, or do they tend to undercut these shots? So as they shoot each shot, I make note of how many shots were undercut and how many shots were overcut. And with students who have been playing pool for many years, there tends to be a pattern in how they miss. So if the pattern is to overcut this shot, then we change their aim point on the pocket. And even though aiming toward this A spot doesn't look quite right to them, that's going to be natural since their true aim on this shot was slightly off. As a player works through all 30 of these drills, with each shot they gain valuable knowledge about their game. And it's important that they first start with center ball and no side spin. Because at the end of the day, what you'll find out is that there are certain shots where your success rate is higher by shooting with just center ball as opposed to side spin, and vice versa. But you first have to know which way of shooting the shot gives you the highest percentage of success. And at the same time, you have to learn how to pocket the ball using both center ball and side spin, since both offer a different path for the cue ball. All you had to do was pocket the ball, as in this example where the player has to pocket the 5 ball and land on the in route for shaping the 8 ball. They need to know which way offers the best chance of pocketing the ball, either with center ball or with side spin. And if you watch top professionals, you notice that there are certain typical side spin shots where they use center ball instead. These are players that have a thorough understanding of their game, and they know how to shoot each shot, which gives them the best chance of continuing their run. Becoming your own coach is essential to accelerating your growth in pool. But at the same time, it will be beneficial to find a coach who can help you with these areas of your game. Finding a coach who can help explain the nuances of